Hey guys, did you know that in terms of no, just no, don't be that weirdo that puts the copy pasta in the comments. But today we are going to be playing with the final Eeveeloution. Let's see how fast I can beat Pokemon Blue using only a Vaporeon. Rules are on screen but also in the description. Vaporeon's stat spread is interesting. It has a base HP stat of 130, giving it plenty of bulk with a 110 special stat. The 65 attack and speed and 60 defense are lacking. But like Jolteon, it does get access to a badge boosting move later, in the form of acid armor, and while it'll be nice to boost our not very good defensive stat later on, I'd much rather have a move that boosts our special stat, since we are going to be using special moves for the majority of this run. There's really not much to talk about in this early game. Because we're a water type, we're going to be doing the minimum to Brock, only facing the mandatory bug catcher at the end of Viridian Forest. But as I traverse through this bug-filled forest, let's talk about Vaporeon's moves and TMs. We start with Tackle, Sand Attack, Quick Attack, and Water Gun. Because Vaporeon is a stone evolution though, and the Eevee you get in Celadon is level 25, it doesn't learn its next move until level 27, which is Quick Attack. We once again get Water Gun at 31, Tail Whip at 37, Bite at 40, Acid Armor at 42, Haze at 44, Mist at 48, and Hydro Pump at 54. On the TM side of things, it gets the typical water and ice moves, along with access to Body Slam. Because we learn Acid Armor, I'm not going to be utilizing Reflect in this run like I did with Flareon, but Mimic is probably going to be an option for the league down the line. No intro for Brock this week. Because we're only level 6, I do have to two-shot both the Geodude and the Onix, but what are they going to do to me? It's on to Route 3 in Mount Moon for Vaporeon. Because we've done minimum battles to this point, we're not one-shotting anything on Route 3. Really, we're 2 and in some cases 3-shotting, which makes Vaporeon's extra bulk come in handy when you have to take some extra hits. In Mount Moon, I'm going to pick up the rare candy, along with 2 optional battles to better set us up for Cerulean. First is this hiker with 2 Geodudes and an Onix, and next is this rocket grunt with a single Raticate. After grabbing the Dome Fossil, Vaporeon is entering Cerulean City at level 15. I'm going to hit level 16 after defeating the Goldeen Junior Trainer. I'm going to heal up, teach Vaporeon Bide, and now let's face Misty. Staryu is first. I'm going to start out by hitting this thing with 3 sand attacks. I want to take as little damage from it as possible, because as you can already guess, I'm going to be using Bide against Starmie, and obviously the more HP I have for it, the better. I have to slowly take it down with Quick Attack, and I end up only taking 12 HP of damage before moving on to Misty's Ace. I only get a 2-turn Bide, but I do see Tackle and X Defend, and we can see the glitch with Bide in action, but unfortunately, it's not enough to take out Misty's Ace. I could have gone for Bide again, but just decided to roll the dice with Quick Attack. While Starmie does get me down to low yellow health, Vaporeon pulls through and earns the Cascade badge. The real prize is the TM for Bubble Beam, which is an immediate upgrade over Water Gun, and it shows firsthand against the rival. I 2-shot his lead Pidgeotto and don't see Sand Attack, which is lovely. Abra and Rattata are easy to clean up. Moving on to Bulbasaur. I kept Bide just for this battle in case this first attempt was a loss. I start by pelting it with Sand Attacks before going on the offensive, and you can see, even though it's not very effective, when it doesn't crit, Bubble Beam does a lot more damage compared to Quick Attack, and this second battle against the rival is overall pretty easy. Nugget Bridge is next, and looking back at the footage, maybe teaching Bubble Beam over Bide and keeping Water Gun would have been the better play PP wise. Just to have another special move at my disposal, because I'm not going to have enough Bubble Beam PP to make it all the way to Bills. I'm actually going to battle the Elixir Hiker. I have 2 PP of Bubble Beam left after defeating him, and it's going to give me just enough to make it to Bills, allowing my PP to go the distance. Because like with the rival, Bubble Beam does more damage to the Lasses Oddishes right before Bill's house. I've mentioned this in the other 2 runs, but it would be great if the Eeveeloutions got access to Dig in Generation 1 like they do in Generation 2. It would especially help out Vaporeon with what's to come. There isn't anything else to cover here, so let's jump to the SSN. Although Vaporeon's attack stat isn't great, it's going to get an upgrade to its moveset with TM08 Body Slam Slam. I also ended up grabbing the Gentleman Candy on the fly. Originally, I was going to skip this, but after defeating the trainer that guards the TM for Body Slam, I was on the brink of level 24, and defeating the Gentleman brings me to level 24. And I figured with Surge looming, if it's something I can candy pass now, that's better than having to backtrack to him later. And candying past my problems might be an option here, because after I defeat Rival 3, Vaporeon is going to hit level 25, and I have 3 candies if needed to go to level 28 above another damage rounding threshold for Surge if needed. As you can see from the background footage and me not really talking about it, the rival is not a challenge, so why don't we give good old Lieutenant Surge an intro and see how that battle goes. Voltorb is first. It's faster and fires off a Sonic Boom doing 20 damage, but Bubble Beam gets a crit to one-shot it. Pikachu is next and Bubble Beam one-shots it as well. Last is Raichu. It's faster and immediately goes for Thunderbolt, getting a massive critical hit and leaving me at 10 HP. While Bubble Beam does a decent amount of damage and gets a speed drop, which will allow me to move first the next turn, I need a crit with my next one. Otherwise, I'm toast. I don't get it, Raichu goes for Thunderbolt again, and that's Vaporeon's first reset of the run. I make it back to Raichu in the next battle with full HP. Turn 1 I see an X defend as Bubble Beam does more than a third. Turn 2, we get the weaker Thunder Shock as Bubble Beam brings it to low red health. Turn 3, I see Thunderbolt from Raichu, which once again gets a massive critical hit. But Vaporeon survives on 5 HP. I fire off a Bubble Beam to knock out the electric rodent and earn the Thunder Badge. One would probably think on the way to Rock Tunnel, the Wrapping Lass would be a problem for Vaporeon, but she's not. I will admit, I did get lucky that Oddish goes for Poison Powder over Stun Spore, which could have made this battle look drastically different, but I also still have Quick Attack for situations like that. This time though, it's 2 2-shots and 2 1-shots on her Pokemon. What about the Lass in Rock Tunnel with an Oddish and Bulbasaur? Well, her Oddish does paralyze me with Stun Spore after I fail to knock it out with Body Slam, and I get pretty lucky early on against her Bulbasaur, paralyzing it with Body Slam, and it doesn't go for Leech Seed until late in the battle, which is too little too late. And for anybody wondering, I do heal off this paralysis after the battle. I still have that hidden full restore I picked up in the underground. Once I arrive in Celadon, after setting my waypoint to the Pokemon Center, I head straight for the Rocket Hideout. I'm going to be picking up some of the high money items to sell, and I'm also going to be picking up the hidden PP up here and in Celadon. Vaporeon later on is going to have some PP problems, but we'll have that TED Talk a little later. Giovanni, he's a guy, he's irrelevant, let's move on. As I do my Celadon shopping, I'm going to purchase a Pokédoll for Mimic, which I ended up not using. I get all 3 TMs from the little girl on the roof, but the one I care about is TM13 Ice Beam. And after purchasing the super repels I'll need for the run, I buy myself 4 calciums. I grab the HM for Fly, and I'm going to put off Erica for now. Instead, heading to the Pokemon Tower to face the rival. I haven't even healed since the Rocket Hideout, but with Ice Beam now on my moveset, I have 1 or 2 shots against all of the rival's Pokemon, and super effective damage against 3 out of the 5. Vaporeon unfortunately has to 2-shot the Ghastlies here, which is annoying because it gives them a chance to hit me back with something like Confuse Ray or Lick. While I do get a bit unlucky in this battle, hitting myself in confusion, I don't get paralyzed from Lick, although the healing pad is right after this battle, and I don't have any unlucky resets or blackouts here. After Pokemon Tower, I'm going to head to Cycling Road towards Fuchsia City. I'm going to grab the hidden rare candy, along with the hidden PP up. And as we enter the Safari Zone, it's time for that TED Talk. Should you teach this Pokemon Surf? And with Vaporeon, I went back and forth with it, and I decided no, I'm not going to teach it Surf, for a few reasons. The big reason is moveset flexibility. If you teach an HM move, you can't delete it later on, and Vaporeon learns Acid Armor later on. It's a badge boosting move, and it's one we're going to want to hang on to, so if I were to teach Surf, I would only have 2 move slots to work with for later on. Not exactly what you want to work with, but when I mentioned that Vaporeon was going to have PP problems later on in this run, you might have guessed that I was leaning towards this route. I know Surf right now is an immediate upgrade over Bubble Beam, but honestly, Bubble Beam can get the job done for what's in front of us right now, and I have another move in Ice Beam that's also very reliable and has more upside. I could keep going on and on about this, and there might be someone who says, well, this person taught Surf and they got this time. And to that I say, cool, I'm not competing with that person or other runners' times, and for the most part, I don't care, because I play by different rules and also do my rankings differently. But let's put all of that behind us for now and face Koga. Even if I had taught Surf for this battle, I would have to two-shot Koga's first 3 Pokemon, giving the Coughings an opportunity to hit me with Smokescreen or poison me with Sludge, or the Muck can set up Minimize, poison me, and ruin my day. I do get hit by Smokescreen in this one, but it doesn't affect me too much, and I'm able to make it to Wheezing, and I thought, I think I have this in the bag. I go for Ice Beam hoping for a freeze to secure my win, which doesn't happen, and after my second use of the move, Wheezing blows up, giving Vaporeon another reset. I make it back to Wheezing in the next battle with more HP and my accuracy intact. Like in the last battle, I see Toxic from Wheezing on turn 1, followed by an X attack on turn 2, but my third use of Ice Beam gets a critical hit to finish his ace, earning me the Soul Badge. Since I can now use Surf outside of battle, I'm going to head to Cinnabar Island. In the mansion, because of my level, I do get one encounter from a level 39 Muck, but while in the mansion, I went ahead and grabbed any vitamins in my path, along with the 2 candies and Blizzard. I have a feeling I'm gonna need some extra oomph in the league, especially when it comes to the champion's Venusaur, and with Blizzard only having 5 PP, it's going to make our PP problems in the late game even worse. In Blaine's gym, I'm going to battle 2 trainers to get to level 38. I didn't need to battle 2, I could have just battled 1, but I looked at my experience wrong and thought I was going to get to level 39. A misplay on my part, but hey, we take them and roll with the punches. I'm not going to restart an entire run over one thing like that, and with all of my rambling done and no burn heals on my person, let's take on Blaine. While I'm fully aware that Surf would make this battle go much quicker, Bubble Beam is good enough. I get critical hits on both Growlithe and Ponyta to one-shot them, and while both Rapidash and Arcanine are faster, Bubble Beam gets speed drops, which lets me outspeed and finish both, making this a damageless fight. Let's not forget Erica while we're at it. Because I outlevel her Pokemon by over 10 levels, Ice Beam can just get a one-shot sweep. It's time to head to Silphco, and I have some pretty unfortunate luck against the Rocket Grunt that guards the card key. I can't one-shot his Arbok because I'm using Bubble Beam over Surf, and this thing poisons me with Poison Sting. While I could have dug out of Silphco, healed at the Pokemon Center and came back, I didn't want to do that. I also haven't saved since before battling Blaine, and I didn't want to have to re-battle him and Erica, so I'm going to attempt to tough it out. I did at least purchase Hyper Potions from the Mart in Cinnabar, so while I can't heal off my poison, at least I can keep my HP full at all times. I do battle one additional scientist to get Vaporeon to level 41. Then I'm going to pop one rare candy to level 42 and teach Acid Armor in the place of Quick Attack. I'm going to attempt to beat the rival, the mandatory Rocket Grunt, and Giovanni all while poisoned. This first attempt against Rival 5 ends pretty quickly. I get hit by an early sand attack and just miss over and over. And once my HP reaches half, I just reset. In the next battle, my accuracy doesn't get ruined early. I get set up with Acid Armor and one-shot Pidgeot. Unfortunately, I have to 3-shot Gyarados with Ice Beam, and it does hit me with Leer and Dragon Rage in the process. And thanks to poison damage, I'm nearly at half HP when I take it out. I do squeeze in my remaining setup on Growlithe so that I can outspeed and hopefully one-shot Alakazam and Venusaur. And well, that's exactly what happens. Body Slam one-shots the Frail Psychic type and Ice Beam one-shots the Flower Frog. Giovanni, he gets another brief mention. Let's take on Sabrina. Kadabra is her lead. Vaporeon outspeeds and one-shots it with Body Slam. Mr. Mime is next, and I'm going to set up with Acid Armor. I can two-shot the Mime thanks to a critical hit from Bubble Beam. Venomoth follows, and I should have stuck with Bubble Beam, but switched to Ice Beam, which leaves it on low yellow health, and it retaliates with Stun Spore, paralyzing me. Thankfully, I don't get caught in paralysis against it, and I only get caught once against Alakazam when it's clinging on to its last few hit points. Sabrina was overall an easy battle. Giovanni, he gets a final mention. Here's me knocking out his Rhydon. Goodbye, Giovanni. Time for Rival 6. Prior to this first battle, I should have used a candy to get above a damage rounding threshold, but also because I'm going to level up in the middle of the battle, right after Gyarados actually. I do set up once on Rhyhorn and then quickly realize I shouldn't before just knocking it out, and unfortunately I have to 3-shot Gyarados, which is going to be annoying when I have to face Lances and the champions. It just goes for Dragon Rage against me, which is worst case scenario. I set up my remaining acid armors on Growlithe, but unfortunately it doesn't matter, because Body Slam doesn't one-shot Alakazam, and it retaliates with its most powerful move, Psychic, which gets a critical hit and knocks out Vaporeon. I learned from the last battle, saving my acid armor set up for Growlithe, and I can even squeeze in an extra thanks to 2 Leers I took from Gyarados. Unfortunately, I only have one use of Ice Beam left, so it needs to do its job against Venusaur. But before his ace, I need to worry about Alakazam, which even with my badge boost, Body Slam doesn't one-shot. We do see Reflect this time over Psychic, and I can take it out the next turn, moving on to his ace. I fire off an Ice Beam and cross my fingers, and with my badge boost, it's enough for the one-shot. In Victory Road, I grabbed the rare candy. I didn't need this, and it was muscle memory for a run I did prior. I also battled this cool trainer with the Bellsprout line to get to level 49. Again, I didn't need to do this, and watching this footage back, I have no idea why. Once I reach Indigo Plateau, I'm going to use 5 candies to go from level 49 to 54. I'm going to teach Hydro Pump and finally replace Bubble Beam, and now Vaporeon is ready to take on the league. Lorelei is first, and this one is a slog. Against Dewgong, I want to see it go for rest, which it does after a turn 1 body slam. I would prefer to see Dewgong use takedown as I'm setting up with acid armor, since it boosts my physical defense, and I'd love for body slam to inflict paralysis. When it wakes up, I do see takedown from Dewgong, but I also see Growl, which is what I don't want. Aside from having PP problems on my strongest move, I also have accuracy issues, because I missed twice on Dewgong and it heals up again with rest. When Hydro Pump does hit though, I'm able to 2-shot the Sea Lion, but only having 1 left for Cloyster is not great. But that 1 does get a critical hit, nearly one-shotting the tanky Clam as it fails Supersonic. But now I have to deal with another tanky Pokemon in Slowbro. It can set up with both Withdraw or Amnesia, so it's pick your poison. I stick with Ice Beam with the hope that I can just freeze it, knowing that I'm going to be using Body Slam on both Jinx and Lapras. I end up taking Slowbro out over 4 turns thanks to an Ice Beam crit. Because of the growls from Dewgong earlier, I have to 4-shot Jinx as well, but because of acid armor, its attacks aren't doing much. It does use its own body slam, which thankfully doesn't paralyze me, and last is Lapras. This one gets down to the wire, and it looked like this was going to be a loss, because Lapras crits me with body slam twice, bypassing my defense boost. It also confuses me with Confuse Ray, and I hit myself a few times, which really isn't doing much because of my own defense boost. But thanks to a clutch critical hit from Vaporeon, we just barely squeak by. Bruno is next. Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, pick one. Both work, you know the drill. Let's move on. Agatha follows, and I taught Mimic over Body Slam before this first battle, but didn't save just in case it doesn't help. I also forgot to use an elixir before the battle, so I'm already starting behind the 8-ball. And while I could give the play-by-play in this battle, I'm just going to let it play in the background and cut right to the point. I lose this battle, not because of Agatha's trolly ways, but because I forgot to use that elixir. I only have 1 use of Ice Beam and Hydro Pump by the time I make it to her final Gengar, and right on cue, Hydro Pump misses, Ice Beam doesn't have nearly enough damage, and it's a reset that I should have just taken immediately. When the Hydro is hitting though, you know Agatha doesn't stand a chance, and things go my way in the second battle. I only miss 1 Hydro Pump the entire fight and cruise to a pretty easy win. Lance is last, and I've deleted Body Slam for Blizzard. Vaporeon is rolling with the pure special set and acid armor. Blizzard does less than half to Gyarados, but spoilers, after I set up, I'm going to get a critical hit to finish off his annoying lead. And the rest of Lance's dragons don't stand a chance when facing down a Vaporeon with Ice Beam and Blizzard. We have 1 more Gyarados to face. How is the champion going to go? Pidgeot is his lead, and Blizzard annihilates the annoying bird. Against Alakazam, I alternate between Blizzard and Ice Beam, hoping for a freeze which I don't get. I started to get nervous when Alakazam went for Recover, but when it's on low health, it fires off a Psychic, thankfully not getting a special drop and I can finish it off. Against Rhydon, I'm going to take my time setting up, and from here, I only have 2 Pokemon to worry about, the first of which is Gyarados. Thanks to my setup, I'm able to 2-shot his Gyarados, but it does hit me with a Dragon Rage. Normally not a big deal when you have 255 max HP, but when that Dragon Rage drops you to below half, we have problems. I do level up after knocking out Gyarados, which is unfortunate because I lose my badge boost. It doesn't matter for Arcanine because Hydro Pump will one-shot it, but the question is, will Blizzard do the same to Venusaur? And the answer is no, it doesn't. I do get a second chance thanks to a full restore, but once again, Blizzard leaves Venusaur on low red health. Venusaur fires off a Razor Leaf, and I was expecting to have a reset here, and I almost did automatically, but with 2 HP in a Dream, Vaporeon survives. It fires off one final Ice Beam, and the final Eeveelution clocks in. For all my real-timers at home, Vaporeon clocks in with a real time of 43 minutes and 36 seconds, at level 60, with a game time of 2 hours and 43 minutes. And it's no surprise of the 3 OG Eeveelutions, it's the best in Generation 1. And I'm going to be real with all of you, I was really disappointed in my play in this one watching all of this back, so I ran it back really quick. And I was able to slightly improve Vaporeon. I improved my real-time finish by about 2 minutes, finishing with a real time of 41 minutes and 38 seconds, beating the game at level 59, 1 level lower, and as you see on screen, an in-game time of 2 hours and 39 minutes, shaving 4 minutes off. That doesn't change Vaporeon's tier ranking, it's still an A-tier Pokemon on my tier list, and it's no surprise it's the best Eeveelution in Generation 1, but it is a water type in Kanto, so that checks. I honestly thought it would be a toss-up between Flareon and Jolteon for second place, but I can't say I'm surprised Jolteon claimed the second place spot. Of these 3, I definitely had the most fun playing Jolteon, but there might be some bias there because it was my favorite of the 3 as a kid. Flareon I enjoyed the least of these 3, which sucks because I really do like fire types, but they just aren't very good in Kanto. As always, thank you guys for the continued support on the channel. I've got some big plans for next month, and I hope you guys enjoy what's to come to the channel. Special shout out to the channel members, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Take care, everybody.